Hi, welcome to the wintertime safety training. My name is Bill Johnson, and I will be giving you a safety training on certain things during the holidays that you may or may not be thinking of, and hopefully this will help you in keeping a safe and happy holiday. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is your vehicle. Your vehicle is one of the things you're going to run around. You're going to go get a tree, you're going to go get gifts and things like that. You're going to transport family and friends to different holiday situations, and you want it to be safe and you want it to be running correctly. So I'm going to go through a few things just on your car, just to make sure that everything is, you've checked everything. It doesn't take a long time, but it's something that everybody should know how to do and when to do it. So what I did is I brought my little truck here. It's a Ford truck. I don't know if it's like a 56, 57 Ford truck. Okay, and the first thing you want to do on your truck, on your car, is take a look at it on the outside. And what I say on the outside is just walk around your car and check the tires, okay? And then also check the spare to make sure your spare is up, because you get a flat, spare's no good if it's flat. And then if the tires are low, put them up to they call it the PSI, pounds per square inch. Put them up, and it says on the sidewall how high to put them up. Most of them are 30 pounds, 32 pounds. Some of the trucks even go higher. Mine goes up to 80 pounds. So check the sidewall, and that'll tell you what to run your car at, okay? So you want to check that. You want to check if there's any damage to your car or anything like that that's going to, rub on the tires and things like that, on the fender wells and things like that. You also want to check your lights, okay? I want to check my headlights to make sure they're working properly, and my blinkers on both sides to make sure they're working properly. And then you want to check on the back, you want to check your running lights. When you have your lights on for your headlights, your running lights will be on. And then you also want somebody to push on the brake, make sure your brake lights work. You don't want to get a ticket for just having a brake light out, and it's just an excuse for somebody to pull you over. So let's try to keep those brake lights up and running, okay? And then you also have blinkers on both sides of the back too, also. So then that's pretty much the outside. Just check, the glass, make sure it's all intact and nobody threw a rock through it overnight or broke it or whatever. Okay, so just make sure it's good and safe for you. Okay, and so we've checked the outside real good. So now we want to go on the inside, and there's a lever on the inside of your vehicle, and you open the door right here, and it's usually down right below the steering wheel, and you'll see it. And I want to pull it, and it'll just be like a handle like that you pull, and it'll have for your hood. Okay, it'll say hood on it. You pull it. And a lot of people don't know where that's at, but it's right usually below the steering wheel or just on this side as you get in. Okay, and what that'll do is that'll pop the hood and open that for you. Okay, and then sometimes they'll have another lever down here, and then you have to move that over a little bit, and then that'll release and open it up for you. Okay, so what are we talking about for the engine compartment? Biggest thing that people talk about is the oil, usually. The oil is the blood of the car. Okay, without oil, your car or truck will not run. So you need oil for sure. Okay, so check the oil, make sure it's up, to a good point. Okay, the other thing is, the next thing that's most important that I think is the water level. Okay, radiator fluid. Most of them have a reservoir on the side, and you want to bring it up to not minimum but maximum if you can. Okay, anything that's overflow, it'll overflow out, so don't worry about overfilling it even. But make sure you get it at least to that maximum level, and that keeps the engine cool. Okay, we don't want to overheat our car. Okay, so that's one of the biggest things. Some of them have automatic transmission fluid. You might want to check that. There's a way to check that. You have to. It's usually running, but in park you can pull that and check that. It'll tell you how to check that in your manual, or you can check it a little bit different way. Brake fluid is usually on the wall of they call it the firewall of the truck itself or car. The brake fluid, you want to keep that to a maximum level too. Okay, you don't want to run that below. And then they'll have a power steering unit, and you'll have a little power steering thing, and it doesn't hold much, like a pint, but check that to make sure all those levels are up. And a lot of the levels, they'll have a yellow handle on them. So if they're yellow, it's something you need to check and pull and check and know what it is. So this just kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of take a look at your engine. Don't be afraid of it, and try to check the engine itself if you can. Okay, so we've checked the outdoor, so we shut the hood real good, give it a big shut, and that shuts it. So now we're gonna go inside. So as we're sitting in the seat on the inside, you know, probably without even starting it, we wanna check to make sure, you know, the glass looks good and all that stuff. And then we can turn the key on, start the motor, check your turn signals, make sure they're working good, brake lights, all your instrument panel, that's working good, you can see, because you may be driving around a lot at night, because the nights are long now. I mean, it gets dark at 5 o'clock, and you might want to, you know, have some little light in there to see all your instrumentation. And then make sure the instruments work. Make sure your oil pressure comes up. Make sure your radiator fluid is one of those things where you can see it. It'll when it starts to level out, it'll level out probably almost in the middle. And if they have a temperature gauge, it'll be like 180, 165 to 180. Okay, so then we're checking everything indoor. And if you have like a real tight space like a truck, you want to probably keep things clean. You don't want a lot of stuff rumbling around in there, and you know, and stuff like that. So try to clean it out. A clean car is a safe car. Let's face it. You know, you want to keep it real clean. Okay. Make sure everybody's seat belted in. You're responsible for them if you're driving. So make sure everybody has a seat belt. Don't overload the car, and make sure, like I said, everybody is belted in. Okay. So the bottom of it is usually something that I don't tell too many people about. But it does have a drivetrain, and it has an exhaust and stuff like that. It's not something that you need to be concerned about, but if everything's running properly and stuff, all this stuff underneath should work like it should, okay? So, you know, if you're not doing four-wheel driving and things like that, you don't have to worry about it. In the back, you usually throw stuff in the back and stuff, but for a holiday, I usually tell people, you know, when you put your holiday gifts and stuff like that inside, and you're going from one point to another, and you got a lot of stuff in there, bring a blanket, and then you can throw them in the front seat and put a blanket over them, out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so then that way everybody, you know, won't bother your stuff, and you'll have it when you get home. If you do have a trunk like a regular car, put it in the trunk. That's the safest place you can put it. Just put it in the trunk, lock it in the trunk, and then go about your shopping, and then you can get everything out when it's good. Okay, but the biggest thing with a car, make sure you have gas. I mean, that's a huge thing nowadays. We all want to have gas. We don't want to run out of gas. But if you need help, you know, there's AAA and stuff like that. So anyway, so that I wanted to bring this out to just show you that there are things that you should check, and it doesn't take long. But the like I said, the tires, the spare, under the hood, very important. Very important. If you can keep that stuff running, you'll have a good, safe time when you're picking people up, picking friends up, family, getting gifts, going from point A to point B, hauling your tree back home, and things like that. So I just want to make sure you keep real safe when you're driving your vehicle. Okay? Thank you. The next thing I'd like to talk about is your tree. Mostly everybody gets a tree for their for around the holidays, and picking out the tree and, you know, taking it home and all that stuff. It's an involvement. Okay, and so what you're doing is you're picking out an organic plant, and they're cutting it off, and you're taking this thing home, and you're putting a dead thing inside your house. Okay, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we do it. It's a tradition, and everybody usually does it. So, so when you're picking out a tree, like at a pinery or a nursery, or you're even cutting down your own, pick one out that shake it, make sure the needles aren't just falling down, because that means the tree is more dead than alive internally. We want to make sure that it's still healthy, and it can sustain a long period of time without being in the ground or being, watered and things like that. So what we want to do is, when you get the tree, on the base of the tree itself, where you're going to put it in like a stand, you want to make sure you cut that off a little bit, even at the pinery, and they'll do that for you. If you buy it at like a lot or something like that, they'll take a chainsaw and then cut off about maybe 2 inches or something. What that does is that opens up the bottom and allows the water to be sucked up the tree, and it keeps the tree fresher for a long period of time. Okay, so what you want to do is have them cut that off. When you bring it home, put it in your stand, inside your house. Put that in your stand, fill it with water, and then they also make a solution. They swear by it. They say it's like a solution that goes in the water, and what it does is it allows the tree to last even longer. It's a solution that goes up into the tree and it gives it more nutrients and it allows the tree to last longer. We don't want the tree to go brown on us or something like that, or the needles start falling off too soon, around our gifts and things like that. Okay? So that's the biggest thing on the tree things. So with the tree, once we have it in the stand, it's sitting at our house and it's over in the corner, and we're gonna now put bulbs and keepsakes and things like that. We're gonna hang them on the tree, all over the tree. You could have a little tree like this, or you could have a big, 12-foot tree. But either way, people put a lot of stuff on these trees. And so the biggest thing is the most dangerous, I would say, is the electrical that you put on the tree. You wanted to use indoor lighting. Okay, they're a lower wattage, and so most of them now are made out of LED lights, and so they don't put out a lot of heat. That's something we don't want. It dries the tree out, so we don't want to dry the tree out as quickly as possible. So we try to use indoor LED lights if you can. And you string them, you string them from top to bottom, and then that way the cord is coming out. So you usually start at the top, you put an angel on the top, plug that into the strand, and then wind it around the tree until it goes to the very bottom of the tree itself. So once you get it to the bottom, you got to think, okay, how much do I have on this tree as far as how many strands, how big is the tree, because it could take 3 or 4 strands, and then where am I plugging into? Am I plugging in directly into the wall? Am I plugging into a timer and then into the wall? Am I plugging it into a power strip and then into the wall? Be careful, just make sure when you turn it on, touch the cord if it's on a little bit, and then see if it's hot. If it's cool, it's probably okay. Okay, but if it is hot, there's probably a reason for that. So it's putting out a lot of power and things like that. So we want to try to keep our tree as safe as possible. So we're trying to keep it cool. So what we want to do is keep that the lowest amount of thing. You don't want to put outdoor bulbs on there at all. They put out a lot of heat. They're making them better, and they're LED too now, but they have more wattage because they have to shine a little brighter, a little further. So that's why they're for outdoor. But for the indoor, use indoor lights on your tree, and you'll be a lot safer. When you use like extension cords and things like that, don't put them under rugs and things like that. Don't, because people tend to walk over the rug, they rub on the rug, and then that tends to open up the extension cord, and then that you have an electrical issue that could cause the rug to catch on fire. So be careful where you run the extension cord, if you have one, if that's what you're doing. So kids and animals can't mess with it at all. And on a brief note on the animals, everybody has like cats or a dog or something. It seems like the tinsel is very, very dangerous to cats and dogs. If they eat it, it goes into their intestines, and it's not a good thing. You'll be getting a nice vet bill. So keep that stuff very high. Keep it picked up around your tree. Like I said, keep it real safe around the tree. Don't let. It's not really a place for toddlers or anything like to play. There's too much stuff on the tree they can pull down. You don't want them touching the tree and having it come down on them. So it's not really a play. It's more for ornamental. It's more to look at. So try to keep the toddlers and stuff away from there. Older kids will know to stay away, but they can be underneath where the toys and stuff are at. But anything above where they're grabbing or pulling, you don't want that at all. And then, like I said, with animals, same thing. Cats and things like that, they tend to want to crawl and you go up the tree and stuff like that. And if they eat that tinsel, that could be a real problem. So just be aware of it. And a lot of people don't use tinsel anymore. I know it's like the long strands. It's kind of silver, but it looks like snow. So just be careful with that, and the bulbs and things like that around toddlers and animals. Okay. The next section that I want to talk about is it's personal shopper safety. And what I mean by that is when you go shopping with yourself or friends, what you should be doing is leaving like the big purses and things like that at home. I see a lot of people when you're going around in the shopping areas, they'll keep their big purse right on their shopping cart, but it's wide open. That's really asking somebody to come by and grab something out of there. So you want to keep just really small purses, stuff you can keep on your person. leave the major credit cards at home and just take what you need, either a debit card or something like that, and that's enough, or even cash. Take exactly the cash that you need and have it organized, so when you do pay for something, it's not real flashy. You don't want to be real flashy with a lot of money, because people tend to notice that. So we don't want to be noticed. We don't want it to be out in the open about that. So when you're paying for stuff, like I said, use a debit card. Be very discreet. Try to just keep that within the confines of what you're carrying. Okay, so don't carry a lot of stuff. Everything under the sun. Because I go over here, I'm looking over here, and your basket's here. Somebody walks by, it's open. We don't want that. So once you pay for your items, and like I said, it gets dark fairly early, so at nighttime you want to be safe, right? So if you're not with someone, or because there's power in numbers, okay? It's better if you go shopping with a friend or a family member. But if you don't have that, and you have a lot of stuff, you're carrying a lot of stuff, that's a target for somebody, like especially at night. So as you're walking back to your car or something like that. So what you want to do is either ask security if they could walk you out, or somebody that can help you and walk you out from the store itself that you just bought the stuff at. So be careful, the night lighting. So try to park underneath big lights and stuff like that. In parking structures, hopefully they're lit up real well. Things like that. You got to look at stuff like that you're doing. And like I said, when you get to your car, put your stuff in the trunk if you have a trunk. If you don't have a trunk, put it in the front seat or back seat, and then put a blanket over it. Okay, so it's something out of sight, out of mind. So because we don't want any temptation. That's really what we're trying to get away from. And as you leave stuff open, people tend to look at it in your car and go, oh, I could use that for whatever. So you just don't want any of those kind of situations to happen. So what we want to do is mitigate that, be safe. We want you to be safe going back to your car, park under really well-lit lights, go with groups of people, things like that. So just be careful out there when you're shopping. That would be a good idea. And make sure you just pay with either a debit card or cash, and keep a minimal amount on you if you can. Okay, that would be the best thing, because you don't want to lose everything, because people will steal your wallet and everything, and then, now I lost my ID, I lost my driver's license. Be careful what you need. Okay, so that's the wintertime personal safety. Okay, thank you. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is miscellaneous holiday safety issues that you could possibly happen. If you have a lot of kids with you and one gets lost, let's say in a store, it's very busy usually this time of year in every store. If they do get lost, make sure you go to somebody that works there and try to get to a security, so they can look at cameras and things like that, so they can find your child. Kids do get lost in stores. It's just the way it is. They wander off. There's a lot of people. Everybody looks like giants, and they do get lost. So the best thing to do is go to security, and then try to hopefully they can remediate the problem and find your child. Okay, so keep them close with you. Make sure they let them hold on to the cart that you're on. Make sure they don't release that when you're walking around, or put them in the cart if they're real small. Okay, we don't want to lose anybody during the holidays at all. Okay, that's one thing. So the home safety is the hazards with small children and electrical issues. You don't want them around any kind of electrical problems with the tree I was talking about, the ornaments, the tinsel, any kind of things that they could put in their mouth. You got to be real careful with that, especially with toddlers and things like that and below. They just don't understand yet. So, but the electrical is the biggest thing. Just we don't want any kind of open electrical that they can mess with, put something in, and get shocked. So we want to just really be careful around them. Like I said, a tree is more for looks and not to touch. So even for adults, but they look pretty and everything, but you got to keep the toddlers away probably. And then don't forget about your pets too, keeping them away if you can. Okay. If your child does choke or things like that, or put something or ingest something down his mouth, call 911. Most parents can take the child, put them, like belly down like this, put their mouth right here, and you can hit them on the back and try to dislodge what they're talking about. A lot of parents have done that, I'm sure. But don't forget to call 911 to just make sure he's stable and everything will be good in the long run, okay? When we have trees and things like that, we're trying to put that star on the very top. We can't reach it, so now we go get a ladder and we try to put that star on the top. Be careful. Ladder safety is a whole another class, but be safe on the ladders. Use step ladders. Have somebody hold it for you if you have that luxury. Have them hold it for you, and then put the star up, and then have them help you down. It's easy to run up and run down. I mean, you're thinking, oh, that's a piece of cake. Slow down when you get on a ladder. As you go up, the potential to fall is a big issue. We don't want to spend Christmas in the hospital, so with a broken leg or something like that, or an arm or whatever, fall into the tree and get hurt. So just the ladders, like I said, be safe with them. Have somebody hold them for you. Use the right ladder. Okay, you can use a 6-foot ladder. They got step ladders. They got extension ladders. You're going to be possibly putting stuff on the outside of your house. So be safe. You're going to be on ladders and stuff like that. It's always good to have somebody at the bottom holding the ladder, okay, and telling you, okay, that's second run, first run, okay, you're on the ground, kind of thing. So ladder safety, okay. The last thing is food safety. A lot of people bring dishes to parties and things like Christmas parties and things like that, and they're dairy based or egg based. Those kind of things go south really quick. People can get sick if they're laid out too much. Sometimes they'll do like an ice tray and then put them on top of it. It keeps it cooler for much longer, and the food will last much longer. But sometimes you go to these parties and food's laid out and they're not like that. They're not keeping everything cool. Be careful what you put in your mouth, because the food will go south real quick and it can make you sick. So just be careful what you eat, when you eat it. If they just put it out and it's cold, probably okay. But be careful with the stuff that's been out a while, and you'll be, you don't want to be eating that kind of stuff. Just make good choices, I guess is the word we're looking for. Just make real good choices if you can. Okay? And I think that's this concludes the holiday safety. I hope you have a blessed and fulfilling New Year. Thank you very much for your time.